Hi guys, so today's video is going to take a bit of a different mood. I've been... I knew I needed to do this video, but I've been putting it off and I filmed all the other films that I need to do today, but this was the video that I just wanted to leave to last. I apologise straight off the bat if it's not very concise or if it's a little bit all over the place. I've not written any notes, so I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants, as they say. But I just wanted to talk to you about my anxiety, about like a mental health update. I can't remember when was the last one I did, but for a while now I've been managing it quite well. And if you've not seen my anxiety videos in the past, I will link them down below. I've got a whole playlist on mental health and things, and you can follow my journey on there. And I've been managing it pretty well, just primarily with tablets and then all like the therapies that I've had over the past 4 years or so. I've been suffering for about 4 to 5 years with anxiety now, and panic attacks, and you know, every now and again like I will feel a bit anxious. It's usually in the evening, like probably because I'm tired and I'm overthinking things even more. And yeah, so it's usually been like at night I'll get anxious about something, whether it's to do with work or something that's just going on, or just could be nothing in general really, and I just feel anxious. I just get this feeling, and usually I let Darren know, and like he helps like cuddle me, and that sort of helps, and I just fall asleep in the end. But it's not been that bad. And then recently, like last week, we got back from Florida. So we landed back on the 9th of November. Today is the 15th that I'm recording this, so a week later. So we landed back on the 9th, and the last week of the holiday, I don't know if you can still hear it, but I had a cough and like a chesty cold. Wasn't anything ridiculously bad, but it set off my anxiety. It was really mild at first, and I think in combination with, you know, the holidays ending, going back to work, you know, when you have those going back to like work, going back to school blues, like after the summer holidays or something, it was like that. And so I was getting a bit anxious, and what was really tough was the fact that because of my like chesty cough, it was making me like feel sick. And my original problem with anxiety started back around like 2012, I want to say. Yeah, it must have been then, so maybe longer than 4 or 5 years. I had a like traveller's bug when we were on holiday, and that pretty much like, because I was ill whilst travelling, that set off my panic attacks, and from then for a couple of years I had really bad panic attacks. And I could feel myself getting anxious like the day of flying, and you know, I was trying to ignore it as much as I could and trying to think, you know, I've been alright for the past couple of years flying, I've been fine, like I know what the source of this is, I know how to deal with it, but it still didn't help the fact that I was feeling that way anyway. We were on the plane, and I wouldn't say I had a panic attack as such. I just felt, because I think again I wasn't sleeping, I didn't sleep the entire flight because I wasn't well, and I sat there and I was like crying to myself, and I think it was a mixture of being ill, feeling down that the holiday was ending and having to go back to like normality. I spoke a little bit about this when I said I had post-wedding depression, and some of those feelings were very similar to them, and I was just like sobbing in my seat. I don't actually think Darren realised, because he was watching a film, you know, the cabin was dark, and I didn't overly want to bother him, so I don't know he noticed. I just like cuddled up to him and just tried to keep my mind occupied and watch some things on the TV. When we landed, everything was fine. Saturday was fine. I got a little bit anxious in the evening again. I think the going back to work sort of thing. Sunday evening, I was not good. I think, again, a mixture of jet lag and not having proper sleep, not being in the right like schedule and things, and I was just like sobbing the night before. This is not uncommon for me to be like sad after a holiday. Like I said, after we came back from our honeymoon, I felt the same. You know, you spend 3 weeks with your significant other, and I spent 3 weeks with my parents, and I was feeling then separation anxiety, and I didn't want to leave Darren. And like I said, I spoke about this before in that video. And whenever you think of separation anxiety, you think of kids or even pets. It's never really associated that much with adults because it seems silly. And at the time, you know, it even is silly to think of. It wasn't so much an irrational fear of like something's going to happen to him, like when we're not together. It was just the not being near him, not being with him. I just had this awful pit feeling in my chest and in my gut, and it was awful. Darren, like, he's pretty used to me feeling like this, and the thing was, I wasn't necessarily bad at separation when I was a child. You know, I'd go on school trips, I'd go on sleepovers. I wasn't the child that, you know, had to go home in the evening before because I couldn't bear to be away from my parents. You know, I went on like a week trip to France with school, and we went to Berlin for a week, and so like I was alright as a child with like separation and things like that, and it sort of just got worse like as I've got older, and really being with Darren, I think we have such obviously a unit bond because we're married, but I think that has something to do with it, and the separation anxiety has come from that. So Sunday I was not great, and I woke up Monday morning and it was awful having to leave him. You know, as soon as I got out of bed, I was on the brink of tears. I was crying on the way to work, I was crying in the car, I cried walking into work, crying as I went through the hospital, I was crying in the toilets, I cried even behind my station at work. I was like hiding behind the machine, and because I had this like cough cold, I think the bleary eyes, the snivels, the bad throat was all masking it. So I don't actually think anyone thought anything was particularly wrong. I think they could see that I wasn't right, but I think they were putting it down to my cold and my physical feelings as opposed to my mental feelings. And I managed to make it through the day. I didn't think I could. I did think I was going to have to go home at lunchtime. But I soldiered on, and as the day and the evening went on, I was speaking with Darren, and he was like, you can't go in tomorrow like this. You need to see the doctor. And I was so torn because I'm the type of person that hates taking time off work, unless it's my pre-booked holiday. I love that. But I hate taking time off sick. I feel guilty that I'm like letting the team down, that I'm going to leave them short-staffed. And I hate phoning in sick. I absolutely hate it. And I think what made it worse is the fact that the reason I was off sick was because it was a mental thing. And again, I still think there is a large stigma, whether there is or there isn't in my workplace, I don't know. But for me, I still felt weak, that I was phoning in and saying, you know, I'm suffering with anxiety and this is what's going on, and that's why I can't come in, as opposed to physical and something you can physically see. I don't know if that is probably something I'm just making up in my mind. I know there's been a lot of things all over our hospital networks about, you know, managing stress and checking in on each other, making sure, you know, our mental well-being is fine and everything. And I think it was a combination of the separation anxiety, and we had a really busy holiday. If you've seen any of our vlogs, we had a pretty hectic holiday. We didn't rest that much. Like, at the time you obviously feel like you're resting, but we went to quite a few theme parks. We were doing things, you know. I wasn't lying in much. which is something I love to do. I love my sleep. I wasn't taking my afternoon naps like I like to at home, and it wasn't like a relaxing holiday, and I think I went back to work again just full force, and I think I've burnt myself out. And there's been a couple of people off work for various different things, long term have been off, and you know, I don't know their situations, but for me it's been really difficult to go back to work. And Tuesday I went to the doctor. She has not only upped one of my tablets, but she has also signed me off work for 2 weeks. That was something that she put forward to me, and it was something that we sort of agreed need to happen. Darren had already mentioned it to me. He was like, I think you need to take some time off. And again, I felt guilty because I've just had 3 weeks off work. That should have been relaxing, like I should be coming back fully rested and all that, but obviously I wasn't. Obviously there is something I need to deal with in the next couple of weeks mentally. So that was Tuesday. Today is Friday. And what have I been doing since? I've been trying to relax as much as I can. And again, it's a really odd thing because sometimes you need to just take care of yourself and just have a bit of self-care. And as much as I thought I was doing that, I guess I wasn't. So over the next couple of weeks I'm just going to be like trying to do things for me as much as I can and just relax and try not to feel guilty that I've been given this time off work, because if I'd broken my leg or anything and I needed 2 weeks off work, you wouldn't think anything of it. If you know you had an operation, you wouldn't think about the time you had to take off work. But again, because it's a mental thing, and it's still seen as something like your brain is still an organ, and it is one of the most important organs, if not the most important, and we still end up seeing anything related to it as being a sign of weakness, or we see it as like just something that like maybe someone's making up, or that they should be able to push through with and deal with, and that I should essentially be able to go back to work. But evidently that has not been the case, and that's what I've been dealing with. It's mainly been the guilt of it and trying to get myself better. You also feel like, oh well, I shouldn't really be going out and doing fun things and stuff because I've been signed off work 2 weeks, and if I can't go, like my mum always used to say to me, if you're not well enough to go to work, like you're not well enough to watch TV or play your games or things like that. But when it comes to mental health, I think that is different, because it's going to do me no good being cooped up in a house for 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks. We don't know how long I'm going to be signed off for at this rate. I can't see like what the future holds, how I'm going to feel in 2 weeks. But I plan on doing, you know, a lot of like self-care, soul searching in a sense, doing things that I enjoy. So obviously I'm doing my filming. I want to try and do some more knitting and reading. I want to do like some other stress relief things like baking, or just going for a walk, or just like going to a coffee shop or a bookshop and just like taking the time for myself. And I shouldn't feel guilty about needing to get out the house, because I think that will help me get better. And if I know that if I stay in, it's going to make it worse. Because another part of it is, and why I was reluctant to even get this time off, is because I don't want it to get worse. I don't want to have taken the 2 weeks off and then it's even harder to get back to work, and then I have to take more time off, and you know, the longer that I'm off, the harder it's going to be to get back to work. I'm fortunate work is very good in the fact that they have you can get like a phased return, and you know, they're very supportive with being off long term. And again, we've been really like short staffed at work, and we've all been very overwhelmed with things, and I think we all were like joking, oh, we're going to need to sign ourselves off, you know, with long-term sickness just for covering everything that we have done. But I think the reality is that we were pushing ourselves too much. I know I probably was. I just kept going and going, and it's not possible to keep going like that. So it's definitely a bit of a lesson that I need to properly take care of myself, and maybe in the future our holidays can't be go 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 every day, 3-4 times of the week, days of the week. You know, I need a good chunk of time just to relax. So there's that, and then there's also just the mental side with it, dealing with my anxiety. You know, I've not dealt with it this bad in such a long time that it does feel like a bit of a step back, and it's disappointing really, because I felt like I was doing well with it for so long. But relapses happen, things happen, it's part of our journey, and I think if anyone takes away anything from this is you shouldn't feel guilty for needing the time off work to get yourself mentally together, because otherwise you are going to do more harm to yourself than good. And again, the separation anxiety is something to come to terms with, because again, it feels like something that kids should only like deal with, and you feel like, oh, how can I be an adult, how can I call myself an adult when I can't even be away from my husband for a day, and things like that. And like, I was trying to go on YouTube and look up people who have been signed off work, see if they'd had any vlogs put up, just so I had someone to relate to. And I've got a few things in my watch later list, but I've not had the chance to watch them yet, because I feel like sometimes watching anxiety videos can actually like trigger things, or like at least make me think about it when I don't want to. So I've got to be in the right frame of mind when I watch those. But maybe you've just been signed off sick, or you're thinking that you need some time off, and obviously I'm not going to say you do need time off, only like you can decide that, but this might just give you the push to say, hey, take care of yourself, and if you need that time, go and visit your doctor and talk to them and talk to your loved ones. And at the end of the day, they know you best. Like, Darren definitely saw that something wasn't right with me. He saw I wasn't myself, and that I'd been working so hard before we went away, and yeah, so I think that's all I've got to say. Like I said, it's not been very concise, but I just wanted to document this part of my journey really, and if anyone has anything they'd like to say down below. Obviously this is like a nice, calm, safe place, and I've got a similar story that you're willing to share, leave it down below, and hopefully we can open up a conversation on this, and hopefully this video just helps someone, if anyone, just feel like they're not alone with what they're going through. That's all I've ever wanted from these types of vlogs, is for people to be able to relate and know that other people are going through exactly what they're feeling. So that is my little update for now. I might do another one in the next couple of months, but this is what I'm dealing with right now. So I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.